Good morning, and thank you so much for starting your week off with us. Thank you to Dan Alstrand and the team for letting me back into the building for the next 2 weeks. Dan is taking some well-deserved time off, but hey, the conversation will continue. And on today's show, we are going to get to councillors on the hot seat in just a few moments. District 16, Jean St-Amand, and District 15, Billy Gillis, are both standing by. At 11 a.m., we're going to throw open the phone lines, take your calls. You've had all weekend to think about this, so let's really looking forward to hearing what is on your mind. At 12 noon, a check-in with Charlie Angus. Charlie Angus, remember that name? Yeah, former member of Parliament for Timmins James Bay in Ontario. But now he is the leader of something called Meidas Touch Canada on YouTube. So we're going to find out more about that from him. Also going to check in with the Conference Board of Canada, trying to find out where Halifax's economy is predicted to be in 2026. And also just before 1 o'clock, going to have a chat with Janet Barlow from Hike, Nova Scotia. She's going to try and convince us to get out and walk in the winter. But first, we have councillors on the hot seat. Joining us this morning, we have Jean St-Amand from Bedford, Wentworth, District 16. From District 15, Sackville, Beaver Bank, Billy Gillis. And, of course, the best part of all of this is opening up the phone lines to you. So hot seat is open with your questions, 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Those are the numbers. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome.
Good morning.
Oof, no shortage of things going on in HRM. This is a busy week for you guys. You council this week. You have community council as well, I understand.
Community council this evening at 6 p.m. at City Hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, a lot of things going on. Suburban plan, the development of that is underway. We've got some public engagement sessions that are going to be coming up as a result of that. Do you guys have any details on the wheres and the whens and whether your districts are going to be hosting a session?
Yeah, we're hosting one, I think it's February 4th at the Sackville Sports Stadium in regards to that, the public consultation in regards to the suburban plan.
And so what is it that you're hoping to hear from residents when they come out to these pop-up sessions?
I'm hoping to hear what their opinion is. Their feedback is important to shape their community. I mean, there's lots of changes coming down the pipe, and, we hope to hear from everyone and take everybody's opinion into consideration.
Well, and this is, the suburban plan is an important document. This is going to guide future growth. Some changes in the suburban areas outside the core. There's, we're growing as a municipality. That's not news. But the suburban plan, will shape land use, infrastructure, services, development patterns in key communities. So, this is really important that folks get involved with this, isn't it?
It really is. The more we hear from residents, the better. This is the next step in the planning of what we wind up doing in the municipality. The center plan was, sort of the first layer of specificity within the overall regional plan.
Yeah. And
the suburbs and the rural areas will be done in tandem, but they're undergoing different engagement processes. And this one is first. And so in Bedford, we have an engagement as well. It's January 26th at the Bedford Legion. There's two of them, actually. They're open house style with a presentation about halfway into each of the time slots. Yeah. 2 to 4 is the first one, so mid-afternoon. And then there's an evening one, 5:30 to 8.
All right. So it is meant to be sort of a drop-in, drop-out type of scenario.
Yeah, right. And staff is on hand there. I suspect I'll be going to both of the sessions in my district to hear from residents directly. And staff is very adept at conducting these engagement sessions. They do a great job of informing people about where things are right now, what are the specific aspects of feedback that they're looking to gather from the community. And that way we can, work on a plan that is reflective of what the community actually wants in our neighborhoods.
Excellent. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Those are the numbers to call if you have any questions for our city councillors this morning. And the phone lines are available to you right now. Some key dates have been announced for the 2026-27 budget process. I do not envy you guys at all, having been through at least 8 or 9. Well, actually, no, there was one year during COVID where we had to go through the budget process twice. So I'm creeping up on about 10 of them. So this is not easy. This is not fun. It's a lot of long days and, a lot of conversation, but of course, public participation is going to be key as well. It's been something that was, brought in a few years ago as part of the process. And are you hearing anything from your residents right now about the budget? What is it that you are hearing, Billy?
Well, one of the things that I continue to hear is affordability, number one.
Yep.
Definitely people are strapped right now and they can't afford any increases. I mean, we just seen what happened with, Halifax Water, Nova Scotia Power's at the table. Tax increases for everybody, every level of government, pretty much all the way around. And I mean, that's what I continue to hear. People cannot afford it at all. And we'll do everything we can as a council to keep it low.
Yeah.
Ish.
What are some of the priorities that you gentlemen are looking at, or looking at the budget with an eye towards?
Well, I think we're trying to have the discipline of reining in the finances while trying to ensure that we don't wind up cutting services that residents would miss. And it's a really, really tough balance to strike, because residents have become accustomed to a certain level of service coming from the municipality, and so they're very sensitive to any change in that. We certainly saw that with the feedback that we received on a comparatively small loss of service in the grand scheme of things when it came to the green bins over the course of the summer.
Yeah.
Everyone had different opinions on that, but it was by and large negative. And it's not like we eliminated green bins. We just eliminated the every week pickup for a small period of time in the peak of the summer. That's a blip on the radar, but there's an awful lot of other services that we may wind up having to take a really hard look at in order to rein in costs. And that's a difficult conversation to have amongst our team, with staff, and in particular with residents.
It is. Yeah, for sure. And, you sort of have to go into it with there are no sacred cows.
Yeah, I mean, but, what do you look at cutting? Well, you can't cut fire. You can't cut police. You can't cut transit. You can't cut, on and on and on, parks and rec. You can't cut, solid waste.
Yeah.
So we're already there right now. What do what's left to cut?
An awful lot of the budget is critical services. And so there's not a lot of room to play with there. And where most of our costs are predominantly anyway falling on services that are delivered by people, then losing services means losing people. And that in itself is a very difficult conversation to have. And we hope that we'll be able to maintain the service level that we have and keep the people that we have, and just find creative ways to bring our costs more in line with where we need it to be in order to minimize the impact on tax bills.
405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Going to the phone lines, and we have Nicole joining us this morning. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Lisa. Welcome.
Thank you so.
Hello, Nicole.
Thank you very much, Nicole. You've got a question for councillors.
I do. I have a procedural question, and it actually comes from something that Councillor Austin mentioned last week when he was talking about Dartmouth Cove, and that he was really limited in scope as to what he could talk about because of litigation and ongoing litigation, and that councillors are usually prohibited from talking about active litigation. Is that true?
Well, we're advised to keep it to a minimum because we don't want to say anything that might go in contravention to anything that's currently underway, and we allow the legal team to speak on behalf of the municipality in those regards.
Okay,
yeah.
So now typically when in the past, for a limited period of time, the public would have the ability to file a code complaint if there may have been an issue with how something was handled. And I know this isn't your district, but this is council as a whole, and I'm looking at an issue right now around Shuby Park. Mm-hmm. And the fact that there is active litigation around Shuby Park, the fact that I absolutely had advanced knowledge of that litigation via information that came from Councillor Mancini, and in the process of that information coming out, it created an onslaught of emails and correspondence that went to his office that was never corrected that I'm aware of, was never corrected after July when the lawsuit was filed. Mm-hmm. And in the process, there was a social media post that could be interpreted as being defamatory and libelous against one of the litigants in the process before all of this came out. And then the public only became aware of this lawsuit in December when we're getting much closer to a deadline of April. Now, how does council now handle something like this? Because this feels like a bit of a breach of trust in both directions, that there may have been a breach of trust internally with council legally, and that there's also a breach of public trust because the record was never corrected when the lawsuit was filed. And now as a public member, I can't go in and do anything. But lucky for me, all of this information actually is sitting inside of a code complaint that was filed before October 7th. But I don't think that your investigator looked at it correctly. So there's another issue there because this is all floating around on the public record, uncontested and uncorrected.
Okay.
So we have a problem.
So you have followed the formal process of filing a code of conduct complaint?
I did for an unrelated matter that was actually connected to Shuby Park, and it allowed me to enter all of that information as evidence into my code complaint before October 7th. So it actually forms a much larger code complaint, but that was before I had knowledge of the lawsuit. I wasn't aware of the lawsuit filed on July 7th. I didn't look at the courts because when Councillor Mancini said, this is propaganda, this sounds like the typical propaganda from a problematic resident, I went, okay, there's no lawsuit. And then come December 17th, a petition shows up because a lawsuit was filed, as Dan mentioned when he had Councillor Mancini on, July 27th.
All right.
We have a big issue here.
Gentlemen, either one of you want to...
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been kind of following this at arm's length, where it is Councillor Mancini's district. We haven't discussed this. So what's out there in the media, I guess, is what you see. I mean, I didn't know about any lawsuit until a couple weeks ago. So
Yeah, I learned of the lawsuit through the media posts about it as well.
Yeah, I would say that, your best course of action is to continue with your code of conduct complaint and perhaps file a new one that would
But we can't, Lisa. We can't. The Minister of Municipal Affairs removed code of conduct complaints from the public October 7th.
Oh.
Yeah, that is
we
true.
We can't do
That's
that
true.
anymore.
Yeah.
And council, as far as I'm aware, can only bring a code complaint if they have firsthand knowledge of it, not if it was brought to a resident or brought from a resident. So now that I'm saying this openly on the public and everybody's aware of it, because I'm saying it as a member of the public and not a member of council, can council now say, well, this was brought to us by a resident, so we're under no obligation to say anything, even though everybody's looking at it and it's highly problematic? Are we going to play a weird game of let's pretend I can't see this?
Well, the code of conduct complaint is not gone away forever. They just had to put a pause on it for now because what was happening was, not just our municipality, but all across Nova Scotia, there was loads and loads of, all kinds of frivolous complaints that come in like, I don't like him, I don't like what they said or whatever, and it was just burying administrative costs. So
I'd be careful with how you use frivolous and vexatious, because I'm looking at some of the responses from your investigators, and they're questionable, and they're being appealed.
Wow.
Well,
I think he is making reference to other cases that have taken place across the province and not this specific one.
100%, Lisa,
Yeah.
but I want to be careful with language because when we start dismissing public concerns, when we're watching the wheels fall off the bus as frivolous and vexatious because it's hitting people in the feelings that they may not want to address, I take issue with that because that feels like an emotional response and not a structural response.
That's
and
fair,
I'm here to
Nicole.
look at
I think
I'm here to look at governance and continuity. I'm not here to look at how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the intention of the pause was just to take a moment to correct what was seen as perhaps a flawed process, that there were some gaps that had not been identified in the legislation as it was articulated originally, and so they wanted to give some thought to how to correct that before the floodgates were completely unstoppable.
All right. Listen, Nicole, I hate to cut you off, but we have to move on to another caller, and we have to take a break. But I appreciate the information. A lot of this I was not aware of. So
and I appreciate the time and the opportunity, Lisa.
all right. Listen, have a fantastic
Thank you,
day,
Nicole.
Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole.
So very much. 902-405-6000 is the number. We've got Bob on line 2 just waiting for us, but it is 10:15. We're going to take a quick break. I'm Lisa Blackburn from Forward Strategies. You're with the Todd Veinotte Show on 95.7 News Radio. Back in a moment. And I am not alone here this morning. It is Councillors on the hot seat, and joining us is Jean St-Amand from District 16, Bedford, Wentworth, and from District 15, Sackville, Beaver Bank, is Billy Gillis. And speaking of Sackville, I think we've got Bob on the line. Good morning, Bob, and welcome.
Good morning, Lisa.
Hello, Bob.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, Lisa, if Todd can't come back, I'd love this to be the Lisa Blackburn show.
Oh, listen. Listen, thank you, Dad, for calling. But
I second that.
I appreciate your support, my dear. Thank you so very much. I'm here to have some fun for the next couple of weeks and continue the conversation. But this seat belongs to Todd.
Okay, my dear, thank you. But Billy,
Yes, Bob.
Sackville Drive.
Yep.
I know. I don't envy you people with the budget and all that. And to redo Sackville Drive is not going to be cheap, but is there any hope at all that we're going to get Sackville Drive repaved?
Oh, I got some good news for you, Bob.
Yeah.
So next year, the future plans, 26-27, it's in the budget for this year, but pending approval, of course. Sackville Drive will be repaved, so just basically asphalt overlay from Sackville Crossroad to the Beaver Bank Road. So that's a little chunk of it. Not quite all, but that's a big chunk.
I'd say about a good...
That's the worst part of it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, you know, you and Lisa and myself drive on that road a lot, so...
Oh, yeah.
That's good news. That is good news.
Yeah, there's lots of potholes opened up, especially right in the center there. There's like a chunk missing out of it, but yep, for sure.
Yeah, I know. I had to get a new wheel and tire, but that's beside the point. Thank you very much.
All right,
that's all
Bob.
I got to say.
You're
guys
welcome,
have
Bob.
a good day. Thank
You too, Bob.
Perfect.
Take care.
Thank you so much. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. That is the number to call if you want to join in the conversation. Joining us on the line right now is Gloria. Good morning, Gloria.
Good morning, Lisa. How are you?
I am doing well. How
Morning,
are you
Gloria.
doing? Happy New Year.
Same to you. Thank you. Good morning, councillors.
Good morning, Gloria.
Gloria.
I'm calling to see or to wonder if either of you heard the interview with Brendan McGuire about our fire service when Dan interviewed him last week.
Brendan Marr.
Yeah.
Captain
Head
Marr.
of the union.
Yes. Yes, I heard the interview, and I was actually in consultation with him before that. So, yeah, regarding the Handmill Drive fire, and yeah.
So you heard him say how the speed bumps slow down the first responders?
Absolutely.
And you heard him say how the narrowing of the streets for bike lanes, how difficult it's making for the big fire engines to get around?
Yes.
And so what did you decide after that? Did you decide you should go to council and stop all this nonsense?
Well, I'm hoping that Captain Marr is going to come present to council during the budget process, and I'm sure he will. And I'm hoping he's going to convey that to regional council.
Well, bring data.
Well, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if it's slowing down, then by how much and when and why?
Well, he did. He said that in the interview, how much. He has the data.
Good.
And
Excellent.
When you get 6 or 7 of them on a street, can you imagine? And how every second in a fire counts?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that's I'm shaking my head that people don't seem to be concerned. And there again, the fire at Scotia Bank Center the other day, they didn't have enough firefighters to properly equip the big ladder. Firefighters were in danger.
Well, and I would venture a guess that most folks are more concerned about the lack of personnel and having the correct number or the recommended number of personnel to attend those fires. I think that might be of more concern than a millisecond that's lost by a speed bump.
Oh, no. You talk to Brendan Meyer. You're not a firefighter, Lisa.
No, absolutely not. Listen, I've seen the job.
And
I don't want the
I'm
job.
not a firefighter, but I listen to the firefighters.
Yep.
That's who you listen to, not you with your opinion, not the councillors with their opinion, but to the firefighters. And do not minimize how many seconds are needed when a fire is raging. Every second counts. So I'll leave it with the councillors, and I'm sure they will listen, and hopefully they will shake their heads and realize what is happening here. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
All right. Thank you, Gloria. 405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. And, fire and emergency services, that's always one of the key budget presentations that is delivered during the process. Has there been any indication as to what fire and emergency are going to be looking for this time around during this budget session?
Well, one of the things that they came to council for during their first budget session was the addition for 20 additional firefighters for Sackville for stations 9 and 11. So Acting Chief Meldrum highlighted that during that recent Handwheel fire that we didn't have enough firefighting personnel. It took such a long time. We did not meet the standard. The standard, I think, is 11 minutes, and I don't remember the exact number of firefighters to have there, but we did not meet that. We had to bring firefighters as far away as Eastern Passage, Dartmouth, Tantallon, all over the city to come to that fire just because we didn't have the personnel.
The fire being in Middle Sackville. That's right. Just to reset for folks listening, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, the 20 firefighters had a cost. The compounding cost, I think, for this budget was about $400,000. But I did have concerns with the escalating costs in the years after that. It went as high, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but it was millions and millions. It was like 12 million or something like that for the firefighters, for the 20 firefighters. However, they are needed. So that's the thing. So I tried to move that during the time. Unfortunately, wasn't successful, but that's going to come around again. We're going to have discussions.
Well, that's one of those services that the larger your population gets, the more you're going to need.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As we grow, it just keeps growing and growing, and we're going to need more, more firefighters, more trucks, more...
And it's not as though council, as a whole, council may only hear from the leadership and or the union team, every so often. But we are in regular contact with the leadership of both Halifax Fire and of their union,
right,
so that we continue to be on top of what their concerns are, and we're looking forward to how we can address the needs that they've expressed. So, and I've got several friends that are firefighters, and they, quietly have conversations with me about the unique challenges that they experience, especially as the municipality grows. And as we get, we're no longer a sleepy town with low-rise buildings only. We've got a tremendous number of high-rises, not just in the downtown core, but we're getting, 8, 10-story buildings in the suburbs too, and even out into the rural areas.
Yeah, we have construction cranes in Lower Sackville right now. That unheard of even 10 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
In Beaver Bank. Well, we don't really have cranes.
And just to be not to ensure that the public understands, like the backfilling from multiple stations is how the system is designed to be, but each truck is supposed to have a certain number of people on it, and that's where we don't yet have the full complement at every station.
Yeah.
Within these individual regions, we have fire stations that are picked for their location for their ability to back up some of their neighboring stations. And so they do wind up being called in on a regular basis when the fire conditions demand it. But it is important that when a ladder truck goes out, that it has the right complement of firefighters on board, and the backfill is brought in within a timely fashion. So not only do they get to the site on time, but the backfill is able to get to the site on time in order to either back up their station or back up the firefighters on site.
Yeah, because it's great to have the equipment, the new equipment, the latest technology, but if you don't have the personnel to work that
it's
equipment,
still a people-driven, life-saving game.
True enough. It is 1027 405 6000 or 1-877-801-8255 are those numbers to call if you want to talk to one of our councillors here this morning. Representing, we've got from District 16 in Bedford, Wentworth, Jean St-Amand, and from District 15, we've got Billy Gillis from Sackville, Beaver Bank. It's going to take a quick break right here. I'm Lisa Blackburn from Forward Strategies, and you're with the Todd Veinotte Show on 95.7 News Radio. Back in a moment. And we continue with councillors on the hot seat on this Monday morning. Jean St-Amand from District 16, Bedford Wentworth. District 15, Sackville Beaver Bank, Billy Gillis. And joining the conversation right now, we have Ian. Good morning, Ian, and welcome.
Good morning. I have two questions for Billy. I'm in Beaver Bank. There looks like there's some construction on Wingate Road, and I was told that that's going to be a fire road connecting to Galloway Drive. Is that?
Sorry, construction on Wingate connecting to Galloway? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it looks like they're starting to, clear away the land, the trees, and I heard they're putting in a fire road that's supposed to be connecting to Galloway Drive.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I think you're referring to Wingate Village, like the kind of the big empty spot there. Eventually, that is going to be built out, and yeah, I think the plans are that's going to connect to Galloway in the back and Rivendell.
Got it. My other question is, what are the top three priorities you're advocating for Beaver Bank? My taxes are going up every year, but I don't see anything. I don't see new sidewalks or anything happening in Beaver Bank. So I'm just curious to see what your priorities are for this community.
Yep. So number one would be traffic for one. So I am working on the redevelopment of the Wingate Drive, Beaver Bank Road intersection. I am making progress on that. I'm advocating for the return of transit to North Beaver Bank. I've already had productive conversations with that. And then affordability for people. So, yep. And then the sidewalk situation, yep, we need a lot of sidewalks here. Typically, those get built out by developments. So, a new subdivision will come along. They'll be required to put in, the sidewalk. And that's typically how they get built out. Sidewalks are a lot of money. They're typically about $1 million per kilometer. So, yeah, very, very expensive. So, yeah, those are things I'm advocating for. And, I got a lot of pokers in the fire with regards to other stuff. But, yep, certainly champion ahead for Beaver Bank.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you so much. We've got Chris. Chris is on the line. Good morning and welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Good morning, people.
Hey, Chris, my good man. How you doing?
Good.
What can we do for you?
Well, a couple of things, actually. And usually when I call, I'm not a happy camper, and today I'm not happy.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
You heard, no, it's nothing personal, guys. I guess it could be. But look, Billy, the last time that you were on the show, I mentioned to you and I challenged you in a way to go to council on this raise that you guys are getting and propose that you don't take the raise. You said you'd look into that, you'd consider that. How come you or neither one of you, no one, brought that up?
Don't know. Just haven't. We're working through budget and stuff, and I know that's tied to budget. But yeah, that's one thing I'm kind of thinking of anyway.
Well, it's a little late to kind of think of it now, isn't it? I mean, the longer this goes on, the harder it's going to be to put the brakes on anything.
No, it's not too late until we vote on the budget.
Yeah. We're just starting the budget process now, so...
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Lisa, I understand that, and there's a lot to go through. So what you're saying now is that you will consider and you will do that? You will bring that up and say, we don't need this right now because of the times, the financial times the city's in, and you'll move ahead with that proposal? Yes or no?
I'll certainly float the conversation to other councillors. Remember that we generally don't bring a motion forward unless we feel like we've got support for it. And so we have conversations informally with councillors to try to raise awareness of something that we're thinking about and gauge whether there's a degree of support for it. And it's not unprecedented. It has been done before. It happened during COVID twice in a row.
So you mentioned, I think, to the other caller that you advocate for affordability for people, right?
I think we all do.
Yeah, everybody does.
Okay, well, as a taxpayer and anybody advocating for affordability, that raise is part of it. The guy from the fire department was on saying about all the problems they have with narrowing streets and all this sort of thing. Right now, the fire department, my understanding, has a ladder truck that will reach up to about 20 stories. Is that correct? But
I don't even think it's that high.
Yeah, I didn't think the number was quite that high.
No.
Yeah, I heard somewhere that it would reach up to 20 stories. But whether it's 10, 15, or whatever, you're looking at 30 and 40-story apartment buildings and condo towers and stuff being built. How is that situation going to be addressed? Any talk or any plan for that?
Well, so every other municipality that has high-rises addresses that in largely the same way. There is fire suppression equipment that is built into the building. It's required by code. And so the ladder trucks are a supplement to that. It gives them the ability to evacuate people from the building as well. But much of the firefighting is done by firefighters entering the building. And so they wind up plugging into the infrastructure that's on-site in the building itself.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So really you don't think that you'll be needing any of these ladder trucks that'll go higher than 20 stories or whatever?
I don't think the height will be the defining issue that will be brought to us by the union or fire leadership. I think they'll be more focused on personnel because it really is a numbers game.
Yeah. Now, we're looking at, with Halifax Water, 18% by April increase, which is huge. A potential 10.9% increase on property taxes. Nova Scotia Power, which I know you don't have anything to do with, but Nova Scotia Power are looking for increases. I'll ask you guys, where in the heck do you think the taxpayers are going to get all this extra money from? Where do you expect us to find the extra money to pay these bills?
Hard to have an answer for that, honestly, Chris. I think every household is feeling tremendous pressure from a variety of sources. I mean, we're seeing inflation impact our ability to feed our families. We're seeing inflation impact our ability to clothe our families. Just the everyday expenses are all going up.
Yeah, I know.
For the municipality as well, though.
That's true.
I know, but guys, that's just rhetoric. Everybody's using the excuse of, it's like when we were going through COVID. Every time you went into the store and the price had gone up, you say, what the heck's going on? You say, oh, well, it's because of COVID. Stop using what is the inflation rate right now? Around 2% or something they're saying nationally on average?
It's about that nationally, yeah.
Oh, okay,
but the prices have never gone down since.
No, I understand that. But it's 2%. And now we're looking at 18% on water. 10 point whatever percent it could be on property taxes and so on. This is way, 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 way more than the inflation, than the average inflation rate. There doesn't seem to be, and this is the thing that really bothers me, there appears to be no one sitting on council that is an advocate for the taxpayer. You're all there advocating for developers to get this, for people who want bike lanes to get certain things, and your own raises and salaries and personal agendas. How about advocating for the good of the taxpayer, what the taxpayer wants and needs for a change? And again, I would ask, any idea where the average taxpayer is going to come up with all this extra money from? What do you expect us to do to pay the bills?
And I mean, those are the thoughts that every single councillor has to have in their head when they sit down during the budget process, isn't it?
Lisa, I'm sorry, but with all due respect, I'm addressing the councillors. I'd like an answer from them, please.
I don't think you are watching council, Chris, because every time that we talk about things, I hear affordability from all kinds of councillors' mouths. It certainly comes out of my mouth a lot. Every time I, speak about emotion, I'm always speaking about affordability.
But what are you doing about it? You're not doing anything about it. You're still building these bloody bike lanes, curb bump outs, and all the other stuff that's totally unnecessary at this time. They might be nice to haves, but they're not need to haves. You're not doing anything about it. Talk to the taxpayer. Why don't you have a few town halls on a regular basis throughout the various districts? You'll soon find out what's on the taxpayers' minds. We're fed up with it, you guys. You don't seem to realize it's hard for people, especially seniors on fixed income, lower income people having to work 2 and 3 and 4 jobs in some cases just to make ends meet now. How, again, this is the third time and you're not coming up with any suggestion. Where do you expect people to find that money? You're just waving a wand as though we'll just increase all these prices, let them go, and people will find it somehow. Tell tell the taxpayers out there listening, where can we go to find this extra money we're going to need to pay you guys the taxes and water commission and all these other bills out there? Where are we going to find it?
Chris, I think one thing that you have to recognize is that decisions of council take time. We evaluate these things on the basis of information that's brought to us by staff. They're the people that are working on these things on a daily basis, and we ask of them, tell us what we need to know in order to make appropriate decisions. And we go off and we do our own analysis, and quite frankly, we are the most accessible level of government. We don't need to do a town hall. Everyone has my email and my direct phone number. So anyone that wants to reach me has the ability to reach me, and I hear from the residents on a regular basis on a myriad of topics that are before council.
But
one of the things that
my question: where are we going to get the extra money from to pay these bills?
There is no answer to that question, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't want to disingenuously provide an answer when there really isn't a practical answer to the question as you've posed it.
Then there isn't. Well, then you shouldn't be allowing all these increases then. Halifax water needs to be reined in. What the heck's going on with this new $85 million or more building over in Burnside? Is that going ahead? That's what we're paying for? Do we need that? I don't think so. Is my water going to taste any better? Is my bath or shower going to feel any better on my body because they have an $85 million building that we're paying for? I don't think so. There's all kinds of places you guys could cut back. It doesn't appear as though you're even trying to cut back. This is the problem. Maybe it's a perception thing. I don't know. But at town halls, you say you don't need town halls. I think that's missing. We need town halls.
Chris,
you need to have people.
I've done 4 town halls since I've been here so far.
I've done 3.
Well, good on you for doing that. I live in District 7, and our councillor is useless, in my opinion. She's done no town halls. No plans to do any town halls. It seems as though you guys don't want to face the music or the taxpayers. You just don't want to face up to it in many cases. And using this excuse that things take time. As time ticks on, it's not getting any easier for the taxpayers.
Just remember that we don't make decisions based on intuition. We really do have to have data to point to in order to guide the decisions that we make. So as an example that addresses the specific question that you asked, on the bike lanes, for example, Councillor Mancini, after the budget last year, passed a motion with tremendous support from council to do a deep dive on the plan for the bike lanes and specifically to address budgetary concerns that were top of mind for everyone around the table. None of us
you got a bike lane budget that's gone up by over 400%.
Yes.
Isn't that outrageous?
Yeah, I'm not happy with it either, and that's specifically why...
do something. Guys, come on.
That is why
about
it takes time to get a motion before council to make a decision on how to make a change. We're not about to just pull the plug on absolutely everything that we've invested in thus far.
It's almost
all right. Listen, Chris. Sorry, we got to. I got to let you go there because we're coming up on a break. But listen, we're
send me an email, Chris.
Yeah, and we're going to have an open hour a little later on this morning. Invite you to call back then. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much. 405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. We're going to take a quick break. I'm Lisa Blackburn from Forward Strategies, and you're with the Todd Veinotte Show on 95.7 News Radio. Back in a moment. And we are in the middle of Councillors on the Hot Seat right now. 405-6000, 1-877-801-8255, the numbers to call if you have a question for our councillors. Joining us today from District 15 is Billy Gillis and Jean St-Amand from District 16. Cheryl is on the line. Good morning, Cheryl. You've got a question for our councillors.
Yeah, I heard Chris, and I agree with Chris. And so the property tax, like I run my household. I don't buy things I can't pay for, I can't afford. Unfortunately, my anxieties goes up because, you know, they want to pay for things they don't have the money for and make the homeowners pay for it. You know, how about start bringing in some other revenue like the firefighters do? Get some 50-50s going, bring in millions. You know, start selling tickets, start having use one of the employees that is underutilized and start running a 50-50 draw. Why can't that be done?
I think there's a whole laundry list of reasons why that probably couldn't be done to fund a municipality, but I mean, as you point out,
Is
it's doing gangbusters for the fire services in some communities for sure.
But you're right about the notion of finding other ways to raise revenue. That
Yeah.
is something that council is actively looking at, and that's something that we directed staff to look at specifically across the entirety of the municipality.
Are 50/50s illegal? Like, what's the issue?
I can't say that I know too much about how the
Yeah.
legalities of operating a lottery license as a municipality to fund services would look.
Yeah,
I really can't see that being a viable option. It's also way too unpredictable.
True enough.
We need predictable sources of revenue.
Okay. Unpredictable is your budget, okay? You don't have any way to control that. That's unpredictable. Predictable is bringing in any sort of revenue that you don't have now when you're short on funds. So I don't really agree with the unpredictable comment.
All right, Cheryl, listen, we'll let the councillor answer that question, but then I'm going to move on to another caller. All right.
One thing that makes municipal budgets a little bit more different and very, very challenging compared to a household budget is, most people don't buy their groceries on an annualized basis.
Yeah.
And so municipal contracts for snow removal, for pothole repair, a bunch of the different services, including the contractual relationship that we have with Halifax Fire, Halifax Police, Halifax Transit, these unionized organizations that provide for, within their contract, there's a legislated amount that everybody's salary is supposed to go up on an annualized basis.
Yep.
Those are, if not annual contracts, they're multi-year contracts that we wind up having to absorb as a municipality. And so those may outpace, as we've seen in our budgets for the last several years, those costs outpace our ability to raise revenues, at least under the current circumstances, with our revenues being tied so explicitly to property taxes.
And I mean, HRM has a $1 billion budget.
1.3.
That's a heck of a lot of 50-50 tickets.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get maybe 500 million.
All right, Jason is on the line. Good morning, Jason, and welcome to the hot seat.
Hi, Lisa. You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you so much. We're just keeping things afloat until Dan gets back. What's on your mind, Jason?
Anyway, yeah, I just have one question for the councillors. Is there ever any plans to put a hotel in Sackville?
Just had a conversation this morning about that. My mic. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Yeah, certainly trying to, Jason. We have to have somebody willing to do it. The government doesn't do things like that. And I mean, land is another thing right now. That's, but we need a hotel like yesterday, 100%.
Now, my understanding is that the table has been set. All of the zoning issues that were standing in the way of building a hotel in Sackville were removed several years ago, and so
yes.
The land use is ready. We just need a Hilton or a Marriott or a Holiday Inn to come in and say, this is where I want to build next.
Yes. There's lots of development opportunities out our way, Jason. Margison Drive is one. That's a big land, a big piece of vacant land there. And there's certainly lots of proposals in there. I mean, Sackville Drive is currently under development. We just need somebody to basically go forward with it.
I think you'll see naturally demand will wind up dictating where that kind of opportunity lies for hotel operators. Whether that's small or large hotel will remain to be seen. It'll wind up being a business decision. But, what we're seeing in the suburban areas in particular is we do have densification happening, even ahead of the suburban plan being completed. There's already a lot of the thinking going into the suburban plan being executed in the land planning that's going on within our suburban areas. And so we're seeing more population in the suburban areas, and so that may mean that demand will wind up creating an opportunity for a hotelier to come in.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason, for your call. We're going to move on right now, and we've got Allison on the line. Good morning, Allison, and welcome.
Thank you. My question for the councillors is in reference to the private companies that will put a boot on a car in a parking lot. Last Saturday, I know you brought this up in January 2020. Last Saturday, my daughter was in almost a deserted parking lot, parked in a parking spot that was not marked. Many in the lot were marked, but there were a few that were not. She thought she was okay parking in the spot. She returns to her vehicle, and there's a boot on it. At 10:30 at night in a deserted parking lot. Luckily, she was able to call me and I was able to meet her there. But the signage in the parking lot clearly stated that ticketing was an option. It was ticketing, towed, or booted. I would be very curious to see what percentage of vehicles are actually ticketed. Do they consider the security and safety concerns based on the time of day and location? I've reached out to the company. They just don't get back to me. So I'm about to go to the private residence that is listed on the Registry of Joint Stocks to have this conversation with them. Where did this ever go back in 2020? Is it just completely forgotten? And is there any plan to readdress this? Because it's a problem. My 20-year-old daughter in a dark parking lot waiting for some random person to come remove a boot.
Yeah, all right. I'll let you go because we're up against a hard stop here at the top of the hour. But my understanding is that there is plain language legislation in place that sets out the rules for these vehicle booting companies.
I don't agree with the practice of doing this. I understand, Lisa. I remember this happened to you back in the day. And, they own the land. I understand, rather than issue a ticket, because then you could just leave and then they don't have any way to enforce that. So basically they hold your car hostage until you pay it. And I don't agree with it. I think it's an awful practice, but it's already...
Yeah, but there's definitely legislation in place that puts some rules and regulations around it. So I think details on that are on the website, halifax.ca.
Yeah.
Listen, I hate to cut us off, but we've got news at the top of the hour with Blake Priddle. Thank you so very much. Jean St-Amand from Bedford, Wentworth, and Billy Gillis, Sackville, Beaver Bank, District 15 and 16 in the House today. Thank you so much for joining us for Councillors on the Hot Seat.
Thank you, Lisa, for having us.
All right, and we'll have two more councillors joining us next week for the conversation. Coming up in the top of the hour, as I said, Blake Priddle has got the news. It's time to take a quick break. I'm Lisa Blackburn from Forward Strategies. Back in a moment on 95.7 News Radio. And welcome back to the Todd Veinotte Show. If you're following the succession line here, filling in for Dan Alstrand, who's filling in for Todd Veinotte. So just so you have a level playing field and everybody knows who everybody is. We're heading into our open hour right now, and this is your time to drive the conversation. I know there's a lot happening across HRM and Nova Scotia today. There's certainly no shortage of issues that people are talking about and wanting to talk about. 902-405-6000 is the number, or 1-877-801-8255. Phone lines are open. Now, perhaps you want to continue the conversation from councillors on the hot seat. As we heard at Halifax Regional Council, we've got attention turning to the upcoming municipal budget. The early discussions are already raising questions about affordability, about service levels, just how the municipality is going to balance rising costs with the pressure that residents are feeling. And this budget is going to shape everything from transit to policing to recreation to infrastructure needs over the next year. Perhaps that's something that you want to talk about. In Shelburne County, the tragic and fatal dog attack on a teenage boy that has raised the issue of dog breed bans again, something that other parts of Canada have played with and perhaps abandoned. But, is that something that perhaps Nova Scotia needs to have a look at again? Maybe you want to talk about something on the economic front. Recent job losses in Halifax sparking wider conversations about economic stability, workforce transitions, what different sectors need to stay competitive in this region. Across Nova Scotia, affordability, that remains a dominant theme. Things from housing and rent to the cost of everyday essentials, and many people are wondering just how governments at all levels are responding. We heard that from Chris during the hot seat earlier. Perhaps that is something that you would like to talk about. So this hour is yours. What is on your mind today? What story is affecting you, your family, your community? Give us a call. Let us hear from you. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. And we're going to go to the phone lines. And I do believe we have Liz on the line. Oh, perhaps. There we go. We'll try to find Liz. Liz, good morning. Are you there?
Hi there.
Good
How are you?
morning. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. So I was hoping to catch the councillors before the end of the hour, but I missed it. I actually just want to talk about ways that the city could make money. And I know it wouldn't be a popular one, but it would be an effective one. Larger cities, such as, Ottawa, Toronto, they use red light cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say there's 10 red light cameras poles. They may only have 5 actual cameras. And then they switch them throughout. Like they have staff actually switch them throughout the cities. So in 2025 alone, between January and August of last year, Ottawa got $7 million gross in funding from those red light cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Between 2021 to 2024, that's $41 million in gross revenue.
Yeah.
So something that would benefit the city. And honestly, you might get people to drive a little better too.
Oh, listen, it's interesting because that is something that I explored very much so when I was a councillor. My understanding is that the new Provincial Motor Vehicle Act will allow for cameras. I think that will be the opportunity for not just HRM, but municipalities across the province to have a look at this technology and see just how it could improve traffic, improve traffic safety, and as you point out, raise a couple of dollars on on the side as well. It's funny because my husband grew up in Edmonton, and they went to traffic cameras many years ago, and I remember him telling me that the change in behavior was instantaneous and overnight.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And it's not expensive to implement and install.
Well,
hopefully it's something they can consider soon.
Well, it'll be interesting, when the new Motor Vehicle Act is brought in. I would love to see that use of technology as part of that. But that's great. Thank you so much, Liz. Appreciate your call.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, you too. 405-6000, 1-877-801-8255 is the number to call. And Megan is with us this morning. Good morning, Megan.
Hi, how's it going?
So far, so good. What can we do for you?
I just wanted to say that, in my opinion, releasing the dog breeds that attacked that boy it's going to lead to bad things against the dog breeds versus against the owners who would have trained those dogs and allowed them to be in that situation. And I think putting the dog breeds out for people to blame might not have been the best idea.
I think dog breed bans are something that has been tried in other jurisdictions, and I don't know if it's had much success other than just, stigmatizing and demonizing particular dogs.
Well, exactly, and it's the owners who are responsible for these dogs. Like, no matter what breed the dog is, you still have to train it to be a good dog.
Well, absolutely, and perhaps, and perhaps the onus on the owner is even greater when the dog is as powerful as some of those dog breeds are out there. I mean, I think the onus needs to be on the owner to make sure that they can control their dog, no matter what the breed.
And if I know that my dog is timid or skittish around children or anybody, why am I putting my dog in a situation where it's going to meet that problem,
Well, and that's true as well. I mean, not all dogs are going to, be friendly with all people and all other animals as well. Do you now? Is this story one that that really concerned you specifically? Is there is there a reason why you have particular interest in this story?
I have a cane Corso.
Okay.
And he's the sweetest boy. All he wants is belly rubs. Like, and I think to release the breed like that, you're putting down, like you're putting a stigma on these dogs now.
Yeah. All right. Listen, thank you so much, Megan, for starting that conversation. And I hope you have a fantastic day.
Thank you. You as well.
All right. Thank you so very much. We're going to go back to the phone lines right now. And Albert is joining us. Good morning, Albert.
Yes, I just want to comment on on this proposal to for having dog breed bans. Yeah, I support that. I mean, let's face it. We have many of these dogs are bred to be weapons, to be killers, to be, they come from a long line of breeding from war dogs way back, and they're basically walking weapons. Mm. Now you talk about the owner. It's all bad raising on the part of the owner, but how do you enforce if someone raises their dog to be to be friendly and gentle, and you don't know that the dogs are dangerous until they've killed someone, which is just what happened down in Shelburne.
For sure, but certainly there are certain breeds of dog that are stronger, more powerful than others.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like you can have a single shot rifle for hunting, but you can't walk around with a submachine gun, because the machine gun could do more harm if it's in the hands of the wrong person. So it's the same as you can't enforce good dog raising. You don't know the dogs are dangerous until they've attacked someone.
Yeah.
And I often find how many times you go for a walk in Point Pleasant Park or whatever, and some powerful dog that could rip your arm comes running at you growling, and the owners just laugh and say, "Oh no, he's just playing. He's no problem." The owner, there's no onus on the owners to keep the dogs in check. So I think we should just take these dangerous weapons out of the hands of the owner.
All right. Thank you so much, Albert.
Okay.
Appreciate your call. 405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Those are the numbers. It is 11:14. We're going to take a quick break. I'm Lisa Blackburn from Forward Strategies, and you're with the Todd Veinotte Show on 95.7 News Radio. Back in a moment. And this is our open hour at 405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. This is your time to drive the conversation. And on the line right now, we have Jeff, who is joining us. Good morning, Jeff.
Yes, good morning,
Lisa. Good morning. What's on your mind?
It's nice to hear not so new voice, but a familiar voice.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad to be here for the next couple of weeks.
I wanted to embark on the dog attack before it becomes rusty and we're back to bicycle lanes and all that. I think the whole scenario could have been prevented by the owner. I think the owner should be 100% accountable. They know their dog. They know the personality. And there would have been safety options to take had the owner been responsible, such as if the dog is loose on the property, they should wear a muzzle. What about an electric fence with the electric collar that the dog knows its perimeter? Tied, penned, a sign on the property, beware of dog, and if they're not at home, the dog should have been in the house. I just cannot imagine what this 13-year-old went through with three against one. Even one large dog, a 13-year-old could not defend themselves. It's a touchy subject about banning dogs, but it's highly coincidental that it is these breeds that generally do attack. Yes, small dogs can be yappy and that, but I think their bark is worse than their bite. But as they say, small dog syndrome. But I hope there's consequences, and it will teach other dog owners of breeds which are, for lack of a better word, just unpredictable. Their personality is they're always on the defensive.
Well, I think any dog can be unpredictable. I mean, I've got a 30-pound Wheaton Terrier, and he's unpredictable as hell. So, I think any dog can be unpredictable, but I think the difference is the pounds per square inch that the jaws of one dog can inflict upon somebody compared to the jaws of another dog. I think that is where the difference lies, and that's in the physical abilities of some of these larger dogs.
Absolutely. The impact of 2 transport trucks is far more sustainable than if it were 2 beetle bugs on the highway.
Amen.
But I just wanted to clarify, get that off my mind. My condolences go out to the family. I cannot imagine, having a daughter myself, I just can't imagine how deplorable the situation. I have a friend, before I let you go, Lisa.
Sure.
I have a friend who, she has a part lab shepherd mix. And before visiting, she has to put her dog in a kennel before visiting. Once you're in the house for 15 minutes, she can leave it out of the kennel, and it's fine, wagging its tail, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Comes up to you. But dogs have split personalities. And when down at Point Pleasant Park, when owners say, "Oh, my dog won't bite," they don't know that. Yeah. They absolutely don't know that, because they have senses, and some people dogs do not like, or some dogs they just don't attract to. But anyway, Lisa, I took up enough time. Pleasure talking to you, and thank you for taking my call.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for your time this morning. Appreciate your call, and we're going to go back to the phone lines, and we've got Sheldon here. Good morning, Sheldon. Welcome.
Hi, Lisa. Good morning. I just find it interesting when we talk about the red light cameras and the $7 million in Ottawa. Red light cameras are good at generating revenue, but they're very bad at generating actual payment. They're always overturned in court. The backlog that these type of things create in traffic courts in cities that have them is tremendous, and they almost never get convictions. I mean, it's good and fine until you lend your car to your son. He goes through a red light, and you're sitting with a $200 fine. You have to challenge it.
Well, and I think Ontario did away with it, did they not?
It proved to be unconstitutional. I think the whole thing, and this city here, the city should not be trying to take more money from the people. The city should be apologizing to those of us who make a living in the city driving around, not trying to extort more money. And we don't have a red light, people going through a red light issue. We have a problem where the light turns green and nobody moves because they're texting or doing whatever. We're looking at it all wrong as usual. But this is a terrible form of extortion from people who are trying to drive around the city.
So you feel that the traffic laws that are in place now are efficient, they're suffice to do the job, they're just not enforced?
No, I think they're enforced perfectly. I think it's my worry in this city is I always worry about, as a pedestrian, getting hit, and as a driver, I always worry about hitting a pedestrian. It's a weird city for that for some reason. But I don't see traffic lights or stealing more money from us. I don't see that helping at all. It's good. We already have, everybody's on edge and irritated. Add another layer to that, see what you get.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see what happens here in Nova Scotia when the new Motor Vehicle Act comes in, because, like I said, it was my understanding that cameras were to be part of the equation. To what extent, I'm not sure, but it'll be interesting to see where they go with this. Sheldon, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. All right, 405-6000 is the number to call, or 1-877-801-8255. The phone lines are wide open. Perhaps you want to continue the conversation from councillors on the hot seat, something we didn't get to, but been a lot of public service notices, infrastructure updates recently. There is a lot of construction going on here in HRM, and a lot of it is concentrated in major intersections like the Windsor Street Exchange, traffic advisories, trail closures. I mean, there's a lot going on, and perhaps that's something that you want to talk about. Affordability, of course, that is also huge. Housing to rent. all of it is coming back to bite us. It's January, so it's certainly something. Our affordability and our debt is something that we're perhaps taking a look at. Some other news and some other stories in the news. A Halifax sex offender who was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison last month in a case involving a 4-year-old girl is now out on bail as he awaits appeal. Robert Warren Monroe spent about 3 weeks behind bars after he was sentenced last month on a charge of sexual interference. And that charge was related to an incident that occurred in 2023. And the victim and the offender were close. So, well, Monroe was a close friend of the victim's family and had been babysitting at the time. So perhaps that is something that you want to discuss. The mother in this case was quite adamant that she did not want Monroe to be released on bail, so perhaps that is something to discuss. You taking in any of the hockey action at the Metro Centre, women's hockey in Halifax? It's certainly. I could make a really bad joke and say it's burning down the barn over there at Scotiabank Centre, but perhaps that's a bit too soon. But women's hockey, is this making a case for a permanent team here in Halifax? Perhaps that is something that you'd like to discuss. 902-405-6000 is the number, or 1-877-801-8255. The phone lines are open. We're going to take a quick break for the bottom of the hour and get a little caught up with some news with Blake Priddle. But listen, we invite you to call us anytime after that, and we'll get back into the open hour in just a moment. I'm Lisa Blackburn from Forward Strategies, and you're with the Todd Veinotte Show on 95.7 News Radio. Back in a moment. Good morning, and welcome back to the open hour here on the Todd Veinotte Show. This is your hour, so let us know what's on your mind. Is there a story that is affecting you, your family, maybe something in your community you want to discuss? Give us a call. Let us hear from you. 405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255 is the number. The phone lines are open and available, and hey, this is only fun if we get to have a conversation, all right? But perhaps some things that you may want to talk about. This happened towards the end of last week, but certainly still hearing the ripples of it. Ubisoft abruptly closed its Halifax game studio this week. 71 employees laid off. That in itself may not be a news story, but it's just weeks after workers successfully unionized, and the staff and union reps are questioning the timing of the announcement. Company says it's part of a broader cost-cutting measure, and certainly this has ignited debate about workers' rights, unionization, and corporate responsibility. Perhaps that is something that you want to talk about. But we do have, let's see. We've got Chris back on the line, I do believe. Chris, are you there, sir? Can I hear you? Perhaps not. We'll go to this line instead. Good morning. Welcome to the open hour. Who's this?
Oh, hi. It's Greg.
Greg?
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, good morning. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to talk about, he talked about last week about the social media thing and then the kids and with their phones and everything else, and how some countries have, I think it might be a good idea, but I think the thing what we're missing here is the parents. They have to take their rightful place. I know my sister and her daughter was 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And, she got that texting and all that stuff, and next thing you know, her grades started to slip. So my sister said, "That's it. I take the phone from you." And of course, the kid got up. Said, "Well, that's my phone." She said, "No, it's not your phone. I pay for that phone.
Yeah.
Here's the bill, my name on it." So she said, "You'll get it back when your grades start coming back." And her grades did get back up. She went on to university and graduated. So see, I'm just saying is if parents would learn to take their place and say, "Look, no," but don't say no. The kids. Seems to me the kids run the joint, and that's wrong, because you're going to get some problems if you don't.
Well, and I think we have to treat this as technology that needs to be managed as opposed to an automatic extension of people's arms.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, my sister said her daughter, very smart, and she stopped at that thing and she concentrated on her school and got graduated with honors and all this stuff. So, see, there is a way that you can do this.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we've seen it. And was it Australia or New Zealand? I think one of the two has taken the step of completely banning it to kids over or under 16, I think it is.
But here's the thing. That should not have to be done if the parents would take their rightful place as parents.
Well,
okay?
I think
and put some guidelines out and say no, but they don't.
Yeah, but I think even when you do put parameters around it, 15, 16, they're going to find a way. Yeah,
but like my sister said, you're not going to find a way with this phone because I've got the phone.
No, exactly.
And the lines are mine.
No, true enough.
Okay.
True enough. That is one way to assert your authority.
And she said, you want to talk about my sister my daughter getting upset and yell and scream all you want. See you later. And she understood and she got the message. So I'm just saying it does work. You're going to get some screaming and yelling and stomping of feet. Yeah, okay, go ahead. But again, I think that's the problem where people could, if they take their place as the parents and the ones who are paying for these things, you might get something. You might find out it might work.
So you're saying that parents just have to parent.
Well, yeah. Well, mine did. Did yours? I'm sure yours did. Mine did too.
Yep. I survived the wooden spoon generation.
Well, mine wasn't the wooden spoon. Mine was, listen, okay, you're doing this, and that's it. I remember, I skipped school, but back then the parents called the teachers. And my mom said, what were your first class after this? She said, don't say anything. She said, I know you weren't there. Yeah. Well, for 3 weeks, I didn't play hockey outside. I didn't go to the prom, and my girlfriend was sore at me. Ooh. But my mother stuck to her things. She said, no, you're going to learn a lesson here. And I learned a lesson. See? But nowadays, they don't do that. Well, anyway.
All
That's
right.
just my opinion.
Thank you for sharing it with us this morning. Thank you so much. 902-405-6000 is the local number, 1-877-801-8255 if you are calling us from out of town. And as promised, Chris is on the line. Good morning and welcome back, Chris.
Thank you, Lisa. As promised, did I promise I would call back?
I don't know, but we extended the offer. That's okay.
Yeah, that's right, and I appreciate it. If you were busier, I wouldn't have called in because I know a lot of other people have things to say as well. But I think that a lot of people miss how important these budget deliberations with council are.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest expensive that I have for running a household is my property tax bill, and the councillors. I think, first of all, staff has too much power. Now, staff is needed. I get all that, and I know the job they do. But it often seems as though council, rather than making the hard decisions themselves, they just say, oh, look, we'll just send it back to staff for a report and then do what staff says, just rubber stamp that. I think that council has more skin in the game than staff does, so they should take a little more initiative with this sort of thing. But one of your councillors mentioned that the expenses often outpace the ability to raise taxes. Well, that's not true because they raise taxes to account for their expenses. That's why we're looking at a 10.5 or 10.9% increase this year.
But it's not only just taxes. I mean, certainly I've been around that table where we have discussed raising user fees in an effort to keep the property tax down.
Sure. Yeah, but Lisa, you will agree, property taxes are the easiest go-to. They represent 70-odd% of the income that's generated in HRM.
Well, we've only got two. HRM only has two ways to raise money, though. It's by property taxes or fee for service.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right. And the easiest one to do is just to raise the property taxes.
So, do you think that the whole municipal tax system needs to be overhauled? I mean,
yes, and no one is willing to take the bull by the horns, put in the effort that it's going to take to do it. Nobody wants to do it. It's been talked about for councils. I've lived in the city and run a business for 45 years, and I hear it from every councillor all the time at budget time. Well, the reason we got to raise taxes, we need more infrastructure to tax. We need more property. We need a bigger tax base. They keep saying that. My God, Lisa, in the last 10 or 20 years, what is our property valuations and stuff like that in the HRM? They've more than doubled in the last 10 or 15 or 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So this is never going to come to fruition. That's not the answer. I mean, basing it on a person's ability to pay and the cost of services provided by the municipality, in my opinion, would be the best system.
Wouldn't that be?
Now, would it be a little harder to administer than just a blanket increase on property taxes? Yeah, probably it would be. But there's got to be a little pain to get things better in this city. Council seems to approve or pre-approve budget expenses without taking any consideration whatsoever for how much it's going to affect the tax bill. I don't care what the rate is. I don't care what the assessment is. What I care about is how much dollars am I going to have to pay this year, and how much extra is that? Because my pay doesn't change a whole lot from year to year. It certainly doesn't change 18% like the water people want.
I doubt there are very few people out there who saw their pay change to the good at 18%.
No, nowhere near it. So where is the taxpayer? I know in my own case, I'm going to have to look at things and say, okay, if I end up with a 10 or 10.5% increase in property taxes, 18% water, a bunch on my light bill, and all this sort of add everything up, I'm going to have to look at cutting back somewhere in order to stay even.
Yeah.
Because I can't go anywhere and just reach into a barrel of money and pull it out. I can't go to an employer and say, I need an extra 10% this year because that's what I need to live on. That's what inflation is doing to me. Council complains about how all their expenses go up, and I get it. They do, the same as a household. So it's just like a big household.
Sure.
They have expense increases as well. Yeah. But when we're faced with an average 2 or 2.3% nationally, at least, on the inflation rate, these guys going after 10.5%, 18%. This is ridiculous. It's outrageous, in my opinion.
Do you think that past councils have kept taxes artificially low, and now we're seeing the results of that?
No, I don't. I think what we're seeing the result of is that council wanting to give out too much to too many people. Let's start with what we need. If you run your own household like I run mine, I look at my needs. And if there's money left over for the wants, then maybe I'll get a want this year. But if there's not, I don't. Council doesn't behave that way. They just seem to do bike lanes is a big topic. It's a sore point with me, not because of bikes or not because it takes me longer to get around town. I can live with that. But it's because the damn budget for the bike lanes went up by 400-odd%. That's what bothers me, and council doesn't seem to be taking it seriously. And a lot of people out there who pay property taxes don't seem to be taking it seriously either. I'm surprised there's not more outrage in this city about the increases in property taxes and the expenditures that are going from our tax dollar. The forum, talk about the forum renovation, talk of a stadium, bike lanes, that thing again, and all the Windsor Street interchange. It goes on and on and on. And just the things that I've mentioned in those few seconds, Lisa, is the better part of $1 billion right there. I mean, we can't afford this stuff. There's so many things that this city doesn't need that we're paying for. And I don't think there's any taxpayer out there, I certainly don't mind, paying for what we need and making sure that we have safety, we have security when it comes to fire and police and so on. I don't have any problem paying for that stuff. What I do have a problem with paying for is stuff like bike lanes and forum renovations and things that they're not needed. They might be wants, but they're not needed, especially under these pressing financial times. And it concerns me a great deal as to how are people going to live? I see it at the grocery store, people picking up stuff at the meat counter, looking at it, thinking about it, and putting it back and walking on. Why are they doing that? It's
I
not
call
that
that
they're not
Tuesday.
Hungry. It's not that they're not hungry. It's not that they don't want that roast beef or whatever it is. They can't bloody well justify paying for it.
$78 for a slab of meat is too rich for my blood.
Lisa, I saw one the other day. It was $69 or $70.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And I mean, I get it, but I just don't see why council continues to approve expenditures that they know are going to drive up the tax bill way more than the cost of inflation year to year. 18% on water, that's inflation. 10.5%, whatever it ends up being on our property tax bill, that's inflation. So, I mean, it's all passed down to the end user and the consumer, which is, in this case, the taxpayer,
who only has one pocket. Listen, we got to take a quick break, Chris. Thank you so much for calling back. I really appreciate the conversation.
Thanks for the time, Lisa. I appreciate that.
All right. 405-6000 is the number, or 1-877-801-8255. The phone lines are open, so give us a call if you would. We're going to take a quick break right here. I'm Lisa Blackburn from Forward Strategies, and you're with the Todd Veinotte Show on 95.7 News Radio. Back in a moment. And welcome back to the Todd Veinotte Show. For a Monday morning, as the man said, I'm Lisa Blackburn, not Dan Alstrand. Dan has taken a couple of weeks off. Lord only knows he has more than earned it the past few months. So we're letting him sleep in for a couple of weeks. I'm going to take the helm here and guide the show for the next couple of weeks. And listen, we can only do it with you. So give us a call. This is our open hour at 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Perhaps there's something local that you want to talk about, something national you want to talk about. This is kind of interesting. The new Top Global Risks report that's just been released outlines the biggest threats facing the world this year, including political instability in the U.S., the rising China-U.S. tensions over tech and trade, Europe's fragile unity, the hybrid warfare at NATO's borders, emerging resource conflicts like water scarcity. I mean, these are all huge, big picture issues that definitely affect us in many ways, small and large. So perhaps, you want to join us this morning and perhaps put something on the list of major global risks that you can think of for this year. Let's see what else is going. 2025 was a very turbulent year in many respects: wars, trade battles, political upheaval, global instability. What do you think was the biggest thing in 2025 that is going to shape the new year? Perhaps that's something that you want to discuss as well. Hey, I'm open to anything. 902-405-6000 is the number to call, and we're going to go to the phone lines right now. And I do believe Caroline is on the line. Caroline, can you hear me? Good morning, Caroline.
Oh, wow, Lisa, good morning. That was quick.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's so great to hear you on the air again.
Oh, listen, it's fun to be back and be able to play radio for a couple of weeks. I'm really looking forward to talking to some cool people and introducing some neat things to the listeners. But what's on your mind?
Well, you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Say hello to Jamie. Well, Lisa, it's a very windy day, and I just been out on my street for the last 15 minutes picking up other people's recyclables that are out there blowing around. Like, it drives me crazy. There was a box which should have been broken down in the first place and left out in the rain also. So there's boxes within that box, nothing broken down. So I grabbed some of those, and then some blue bags blown around, with various papers and cans and those. So I've been doing the best I can, but it's like, I wish people, if it's really windy and or rainy, please anchor your stuff, because it just makes a total mess, and it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, and in the new year, there's more that is going into the blue bags as well, thanks to the extended producer responsibility that's just come in. So funny you should mention that, because we're trying to get somebody from Divert, Nova Scotia on sometime this week or next to talk about what all can go into the blue bags now. But very timely reminder that it's windy and blue bags tend to fly. So
they do, and they're breaking open, and it just made a huge mess on my street. So I picked it up the best I could, but people, it's like, smarten up.
All right. We appreciate you getting that message out there. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you, Lisa.
All right. Have a
Keep
great
up the
day.
Great work. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Moving on now. We're going to pick up on David. David is with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Lisa. Thank you very much for taking my call this windy morning.
Hey, thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
I'd just like to follow up on several comments from the open hour and also comments from Gloria and Chris.
Okay.
There was a comment from, I think it was St-Amand regarding council acting in a timely manner. Mm-hmm. And personally, I think that's one of the biggest oxymorons of council and staff. And I'd like to give two examples.
Sure.
Maybe it was when you were on council, but 6 or 7 years ago, two projects were brought to council. Mm-hmm. One called extending what's called the urban greenway, in other words, a bike lane into Point Pleasant Park. Well, that worked through the system 6 or 7 years ago, and it just went back to staff and went back into the staff black hole. Well, it's up again. And they've done more and more studies, wanted opinions, on and on and on. No budget.
Yeah.
No budget.
And that's usually where unfortunately, that's usually where good projects go to die.
Well, no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. And at least it appears as though they're listening to the community, but we'll see. The other is the Memorial Library. 6 or 7 years ago, 100 people got together and expressed an opinion. Council and the councillor at the time put it into the council black hole. Well, again, it's coming up because this time last year they approved a $100,000 consulting budget on how to demolish the library.
Yes.
Well, tonight there's another session of probably hundreds, maybe tens, but we're expecting 100 people at the library, at the Central Library, at 6 o'clock. To hear another presentation, and here we go again. But that's another 6 or 7 years. But that's a way to, like Chris would like to see, of saving money. Instead of spending millions of dollars, we think there's a way to repurpose that building and not tear it down and make it a benefit to the society. But anyway, I'd just like to finish by one of your, I don't think you were on council together, but I just saw a text from Sue Utek, one of our good councillors from District 7.
Yes, indeed.
She said that HRM is instituting a weight-based pricing model for annual residential parking permits. So now council and staff are thinking of charging us more to park in front of our house if we have a cube van versus a medium-sized car?
I had not heard of that.
Yeah, well, it just came out this morning.
Yeah.
Chris and Gloria are going to be livid, as I'm sure many others are. So the lady who made the comment about lottery tickets, interesting idea, but why don't we just stop spending? Cut things. Cut the pensions for new employees. Cut things. Stop giving salary raises. We're in a war here. The citizens can't afford another 20% of taxes and all the fees coming up. Chris is right. Anyway, that's my rant for this morning. Council and staff have to get more timely, more engaged with the citizens, and we've got to reduce the expenses of the city.
All right. Thank you. So for your lips to council's ears, David.
Hopefully. Have a great day. Thank you very much.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so very much. And that is going to end our open hour for this time around. Thank you, everyone who called in. We're going to do that again. I think we do it again tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. We are going to take a quick break right now for the news with Blake Priddle. I'm Lisa Blackburn from Forward Strategies, and you're with the Todd Veinotte Show on 95.7 News Radio. Back in a moment. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Todd Veinotte Show. I am indeed Lisa Blackburn. I'm going to be sitting in for the next couple of weeks while Dan Alstrand is taking some time off from filling in the chair. And listen, really, really appreciate you spending some of your time with us and starting the week off with us. Our next guest coming up right now is Charlie Angus. That name probably familiar to you. He spent more than 2 decades in the House of Commons as a member of Parliament, representing Northern Ontario, serving as one of the country's most outspoken voices on democracy, human rights, and accountability. And since leaving Parliament, he has taken those conversations beyond Ottawa as a host with Meidas Touch Canada on YouTube. He's continuing to engage Canadians on politics, media, and basically the state of democracy as it stands right now. And very, very happy to welcome to the show this morning Charlie Angus. Good morning, or I should say good afternoon, and welcome.
Hey, it's awesome to be on the show with you, Lisa, and hear you in your natural environment.
Well, it's a little rusty. It's not as natural as it once used to be, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Listen, I am so happy to have you on the program this morning because, listen, you spent 20 years inside Parliament. More than 20 years. So what made you decide at this moment that you needed to step outside formal politics and into the media? What are you seeing now that you think Canadians are not hearing enough about?
I really think that we're at a moment of absolute crisis for democracy. And I could see once the Trump 2.0 happened that we were going to be facing threats that we had not seen in 80 years. How bad those threats were, at first I wasn't sure, but I knew it was going to be difficult. And I really felt that I needed to step out, and so that people weren't saying, oh, he's NDP, what's he trying to do? Or is he trying to run for the leadership? And say, no, this is about Canada, Canada's place in the world, and how do we, across this nation, start to find ways to defend our democracy, defend our values, and if necessary, defend our border from a neighbor that has gone to the dark side. So that's when I stepped out. I didn't think anybody would be paying attention to me, but I thought, well, I just got to start speaking. I didn't know what else to do, and it's just exploded. The response has been incredible.
Yeah, tell us a bit about Meidas Canada. Like, what is Meidas Canada? How did you find yourself there? How did it all begin?
Well, again, in my final months in Parliament, I thought, I'm not going to waste any more time asking dumb questions about bills that nobody's paying attention to. I wanted to get on the record that we are going into a new age of dark gangster fascism, and I wanted it on the record. So I started to speak in Parliament about this, and then, people were stopping me on the streets. I mean, the city bus stopped in the middle of the road, and I was like, what's going on here? And they were like, hey, we're watching you. And I was like, you're watching me? What do you mean? Nobody watches Parliament. And what had happened was that Meidas Touch in the United States, the Meidas brothers, who've been really the opposition to Trump when there's been such silence from the American mainstream media and silence from the Democrats, they were starting to play the speeches I was giving. And they started to say to me, you got to start using your voice. So we set up Meidas Canada on Labor Day. We launched our first Meidas Canada town hall in North Rustico, Prince Edward Island. I told the guys from Meidas, I said, what better place to start a Canadian revolution than North Rustico, Prince Edward Island? And we now have a global, people are watching from all over the world. Every morning I post a video analyzing situation, giving people facts, trying to just talk people through what they're seeing to say, no, you're not crazy. The world is insane, but these are the ways we can get through it. And it started this wild global conversation that I just didn't expect.
Yeah, I mean, this is a platform that really is influencing public discussion in Canada, more so compared to traditional news or parliamentary debate, isn't it?
Well, I think what's happened, and it is one of the factors of the rise of fascism, and we have to talk about it. We have to use that language when we're talking about Trump, is that traditional journalists, the traditional media have failed on this because it's always, well, he said, she said. Well, we have to have both sides. And it's like, I'm sorry, when a lunatic is burning the house to the ground, you can't have both sides of a conversation. You say, that's a lunatic trying to burn our house to the ground. What do we do about it? And so, again, things like Meidas Touch and then now Meidas Canada give people a place to hear information. What's really important for me, Lisa, is that I'm not there to sort of, amp up the algorithms by getting people raging. I want to say to people, democracy is a very fragile thing. Our nation is in a fragile moment, but we're holding the line. And I want to talk about how we do that and give people the tools to say, we can do this. We've gotten through dark times before as a nation. We'll get through it again, but we've got to be focused. We've got to be working together, and we can't be giving in to the rage bots and the disinformation.
And now you guys are a very small but agile team, and you actually are taking this on the road, aren't you?
Well, since we started, I've been in all the way from St. John's, Newfoundland to the Sunshine Coast and British Columbia, Vancouver Island. I'm going to be in Calgary and Edmonton this week. We're so excited. Our Calgary town hall sold out in 48 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Over
That is going to be
Yeah.
an interesting conversation in those two cities.
Well, Alberta's the front line. What Danielle Smith is doing, the whole sort of mega maple machine and undermining and this talk of separation, they're fanning dangerous flames, and there's amazing grassroots people. So we're going out to Calgary. We're doing a big town hall. But what I want to do is it's not about me. I want to be there to encourage. So we've got people who are doing really great grassroots campaigns in Alberta, saving the Rocky Mountains from blowing the tops off them to get coal. What is this, 1850? So there's people doing great things out there. And what we do is when we go out there, we film the events so that people elsewhere can see, so those are my neighbors. Yeah, I'm not alone. We're in this together. So we're going to be in Alberta. We've got tons of requests already for the new year to start traveling. And to me, it's a big part is get out, see the country, talk to people and say, we're in this together and we're going to get through this together.
Well, I sure hope you're bringing this to Halifax.
Well, Halifax was on the list. We didn't get there. I got to Lunenburg. I was part of the literary festival and kind of did my rally there. But we did that in November. But we're looking to get back. I really want it. We got so many Meidas viewers from Nova Scotia. It's really important to be able to get back there. So hopefully in the spring we'll be bringing our little road tour with us.
Perfect. So now you talk about the Canadian resistance. What does resistance look like for you?
Well, the big thing is the boycott. It's an unprecedented political action, and I was feeling, I wasn't hearing about it on CBC all that much, and I think people didn't think we would stand the gaff, as we say from my mother's family in Cape Breton. Canadians decided, you're pushing us around. You're telling me that I'm going to be part of your 51st state? To hell with you. I'm not going to Arizona this winter. I'm not buying any more of your American bourbon. And the impact of that boycott has been global. We have Jim Beam has shut down. The American whiskey market is in free fall. The California wine market, their exports have basically disintegrated. This is from Canadians deciding not to spend money there. The impacts of the snowbirds, the boycotts that they've launched, it's costing billions of dollars. And I hear from people in Florida and Arizona and New Mexico all the time are like, yep, no Canadian plates. So Canadians decided, I'm going to stand up and do one thing right. I'm not going to buy American if I can help it. I'm not going to support the American economy. So then the question is, well, if we can do so much damage to the MAGA economy, and it is doing serious damage to Donald Trump's credibility with his base, well, then what could we do to build a better country? And I think that's where I really sort of hope, out of the chaos that we're in right now with the threats to Greenland, the threats to Venezuela, the threats to Colombia, the threats to Iran, is to say maybe we can start talking about building a better Canada and not just going along and getting by and being the likable slacker nation. We've had to step up. We're a lot tougher than we were a year ago. So let's start talking about what kind of nation we can be that's more inclusive and better and more democratic.
Well, and Canada has a history of stepping up. I mean, you look at World War II, World War I. I mean, we are known for stepping up. And I think you make a good point that when you put the chaos aside, this really is a story of hope for Canada and a story of possibility for Canada.
Well, Lisa, I was at the NATO meetings last year. I was at the European Security Council meetings. I really wanted to go and see what the Europeans were thinking. And a year ago, I thought, man, they'd let us fall under the bus. I was really surprised. I don't think they thought that we would stand up. I don't think that they thought, well, if push comes to shove, are we going to take Canada's side over the United States? Well, Now they're really paying attention. And again, we've got setting up a permanent military base in Latvia, Canada setting up the consulate in Greenland. Our prime minister is over in Europe all the time. He's going to South America now to meet leaders. Canada has stepped up in a way that has really surprised the world. But, again, we know our history. We know that when push comes to shove, particularly against gangsters and fascists, Canadians are nice until we're not. And when we're not, we're pretty darn resolute. It's that, I'm not going to say it on the radio, FAFO, like Canadians are showing the world. And again, when I get the incredible messages every morning, I try and read out some of them. We get thousands of messages a day. People are saying, I have hope here in the United States because I see Canadians doing the right thing. I get these messages from Sweden, from Australia, from Ireland, from Asia, saying, we look at Canada now and we think we could do this too. So, I don't want to sugarcoat this. We are in really tough, dangerous times.
Yep.
We are this is unprecedented. It's nosebleed time, but we're going to get through this if we just keep putting one foot in front of the other and we hold that boycott and we say, nope, we're not giving in. We're not going to be intimidated. And if it gets tougher, it's going to get tougher, but we'll come out the other side.
All right. Listen, Charlie, Angus, thank you so very much for your time this morning. Really appreciate the work that you're doing with Meidas Touch Canada. Personally, I am thrilled and honored to be a contributor to Meidas Touch Canada and in just the small way that I am. But, I think these stories that you spotlight are so incredibly important. And we thank you so much for bringing the Meidas touch to Canada.
Well, thank you. And your stories are really important because to me, our stories, as much as we are national and now we're international, our stories as Canadians, it goes back to our communities. It's our local story. It's who we are as people. And wherever I've been in Canada, I always knew I was coming home, even if I had never been there before.
Charlie, Angus, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Listen, it is 12:17. Time to take a quick break. I'm Lisa Blackburn from Forward Strategies, and you're with the Todd Veinotte Show on 95.7 News Radio. Back in a moment. And good morning. Welcome back to the Todd Veinotte Show. I am Lisa Blackburn, as the man with the big voice said, and I'm going to be joining you for the next couple of weeks. Todd Veinotte, of course, is off, and Dan Alstrand, who's been filling in, is taking a couple of weeks of vacation. We have allowed him to do that, which is great, and great for him. And I promise to keep the building standing. We've got some interesting things coming up later on this week and over the next couple of weeks. Some things that we're going to talk about. We're going to dig in a bit deeper into the dangerous dog breeds. The ban that has, it's been tried in many Nova Scotia towns. Elsewhere in Canada, not to a lot of success. So we're actually working on getting a dog behavior expert on the show who is going to tell us a bit more about that and, why it works, why it doesn't work. 2026 is not shaping up to be a good one, at least in the early months, for restaurants in the province, and especially here in Halifax. 41% of restaurants across Canada are either operating or a loss or just breaking even, according to a report from back in January. Inflation, rising costs, labor shortages, all the factors that are contributing to the financial pressures that restaurants are facing. We're going to, talk about that a bit less. 75% of Canadians say that they are dining out less. I think, the cost really has a lot to do with that. When you go to restaurants now and entrees are, $20 just to start out, that's a lot of, it's pretty steep for a lot of folks, and a lot of restaurants are feeling that. They're cutting hours. They're basically in survival mode. So, that's certainly something that we are going to discuss later on this week. Something else that's coming up as well, and we had mention of it with the open hour talking about blue bags. Things have changed blue bags, and we've moved away from simple recycling to something that is that's a bit more, I guess, intense. It's more than just bottles and cans now. Everything from toothpaste tubes to single-use coffee cups, those can all be recycled or at least taken care of thanks to extended producer responsibility. We're going to find out more about that and, find out exactly what it means for what you can put into your blue bag. Some other things that we're going to be discussing perhaps later on this week. Let's see, if you've thrown away your old Christmas tree yet, definitely got into that chore on the weekend. But, once you're done taking down the tree and putting the ornaments back, what do you do with it? It's dried out. It's a fire hazard. But there are plenty of people that are using donated Christmas trees that, could use your help. We've got a couple of Nova Scotia organizations that are asking people to donate their real trees. They apparently are a great treat for goats. And so a lot of farms are taking that as well. So, there's interesting things that you can do to recycle that don't even feel like recycling. Another cool story that I found that came across the desk this weekend was from Scotiabank Centre, the Metro Centre. They're doing a little bit of work over there. Some maintenance workers made a bit of a discovery in a freight elevator sometime over Christmas. They were doing some work on the elevator shaft or the panel that protects the elevator, and they actually found a signature that belonged to Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. He apparently signed it at one point during his time there. The last time that Aerosmith played the Metro Centre was in December of 1993. And yeah, it was known as the Metro Centre back then. And you could get a ticket for $32. That certainly doesn't happen anymore. But it's kind of neat that it made the rounds on social media, that the discovery is it's deemed to be authentic. They see no reason, but it also got them thinking about who else has signed the walls of Scotiabank Centre over the years. So that's certainly something else that we'll perhaps have a deeper dive into and get some folks on the air about that. Coming up on Wednesday, of course, we've got a regular house call segment with Dr. John Gillis. So we've definitely want to hear from you at that time. And I think, we'll have some fun and we'll learn a few things along the way. Government workers in Atlantic Canada getting 6.3% higher wages on average than private sector workers. That coming from the Fraser Institute. That'll be an interesting conversation, especially given the fact that we just spoke to the councillors on the hot seat about wage increases and what they are doing about that this current fiscal year. Definitely going to be pressure on them to do something about that. Coming up after the news, we're going to be speaking with Viktor Cicman. And Viktor is an economist with the Conference Board of Canada. I'm going to have a quick look at Halifax's economic outlook. I know that, I started off this hour bit of doom and gloom with the economy, talking about restaurants taking a bit of a hit. But you know what? It doesn't look as bad as it may seem on the surface. Viktor is going to help walk us through that. And then we're going to wrap up the day with Janet Barlow, who is the executive director of Hike Nova Scotia, who's going to take us on a winter walk, no matter what the weather. So that's all coming up after the news. We're going to take a quick break to get the latest headlines from Blake Priddle, and then we'll get on the line with Viktor Cicman just after this. We're going to take a quick break now. I'm Lisa Blackburn from Forward Strategies, and you're with the Todd Veinotte Show on 95.7 News Radio. Back in a moment. And welcome back. So glad you could carve some time out to join us this afternoon. Listen, the Major City Insight report is out from the Conference Board of Canada, and it shows that Halifax is going to continue to grow in 2026, but at a bit of a slower pace than last year. And to help us break this all down, we've got economist Viktor Cicman with the Conference Board of Canada. And Viktor leads city-level economic forecasting, including Halifax's outlook, looking at the GDP, the employment numbers, the population trends, and so much more that factor in here. His research is going to help business and local leaders understand what is ahead for the economy as we head into 2026. I want to say good morning and welcome to Viktor. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hi, thank you, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So, listen, this Major City Insight report, it did have some bright spots, but it looks like things are going to be a little bit slower in 2026. But, what are the biggest forces slowing economic momentum in Halifax right now? And really, how should local policymakers be responding?
Yeah, so, 2025 was a bit more of a resilient year for Nova Scotia than maybe a lot of people would have expected, having the trade tariffs put on from not only America, but also in China. And so some of the factors that helped give that boost, especially in the first half of the year, population growth was actually a bit stronger than it was anticipated. Wage gains were still above inflation. They were looking pretty good in some sectors. Consumers still showed up. Consumer spending was still robust through that first part. Tax cuts, obviously, that we saw from Premier Houston, the HST, the income tax cuts, may have likely given a little boost. So now going into 2026, some of those things that were helping it are now sort of moderating or going down, especially, let's say, population growth. If you've seen the most recent, the immigration targets, whether it's temporary or permanent residents, both are a lot lower. So population growth will slow considerably in especially the Atlantic region. The population continues to age, retirements continue to rise. The wage gains that we did see sort of will be more moderate level near inflation. And the consumers seem to be, getting a bit strapped, out. So they're not getting to that same spending level you may have seen at the beginning. It's more of a moderate level. Let's say that's the word we like to use a lot. And so a lot of those things that we're pushing and going forward in 2025 won't be there in 2026. So hence we see it growing by 1.5% real output rather than 2.3 that we saw in 2025.
Yeah, and now you mentioned the slower population gains and the shift in the labor market. How do those trends affect Halifax's ability to attract and retain talent?
Yeah, that's a big concern in Halifax. It's an issue we see across the country, but you do see it in the Atlantic region more noticeably. I think one of the concerns is actually in Nova Scotia and in Halifax, we saw a lot of job postings that continued to rise, but employment didn't pick up. That means that there is a shortage in a lot of sectors. And that's something that you're going to probably see continue going. As I said, a lot of immigration will be a lot lower. The people moving to the province is a lot lower. The natural birth rate and everything is a lot lower, and retirement, that's a big one. So some of these sectors, construction, we've seen Construction Association constantly speak about they can't find workers. That's actually one factor that can be holding back a lot of new projects. The manufacturing sector, again, another one. And even you see it in services as well. It's hard to get it. And so a lot of those, non-permanent residents that came really did give a boost for a lot of businesses. And now we're seeing that cut down by quite a bit. And so it will be challenging for a number of sectors. And our looks out for the next 5 years, and that will be a concern. It's probably top of mind for quite a few businesses.
And the other piece, too, is that housing remains a huge issue here. I mean, from your view as an economist, how is the local housing and rental market impacting the entire city's economic prospects and labor supply?
Yeah. I mean, with housing that in at least Halifax was that it showed a bit more resilience than in other regions. Well, we did see it softening, and we did see sales slowly sort of go down near the end. It was overall, home sales were increased by 1.5% from the first little part. I think the first half it went up compared to 2024 last year. So, and we saw huge declines elsewhere. So it was a bit more resilient than we thought. However, as I said, consumers are being tapped out. Mortgage rates are still quite high. The population isn't there to help, whether it's immigration, pick up on the slack. So we're seeing prices slow down quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of people who are on the sidelines stuck trying to see if they can get in at these mortgage rates. But, depending on who you are, the wage gains and affordability is still an issue for a lot of people. So we may see a bit more of a slower growth in terms of prices. However, the province is still dedicated to building a lot more houses, and that's something that will help with affordability, slow down the growth in prices that we saw, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more that I know the Halifax is doing a lot more in terms of zoning, encouraging more housing development, allowing more 40 solar towers in downtown Halifax. So all these things are great, approving more residential units that will help in terms of affordability. However, as I did say, the labor market and getting the actual workers for a lot of these contractors is an issue as well. And so that can help, or that can mitigate any of these strong housing starts that we would want to see. So there's a few factors going forward, but it is an issue for quite a few people, affordability. We do see that going, in the next few years getting better. But again, it takes time.
So now, we've talked about the resilience, and you've mentioned a few sectors that have really, showed their resilience. But where are the unexpected bright spots for 2026? Are you seeing any at this point?
Well, most sectors will see slower growth. So it's, manufacturing, even though, there are the trade tariffs, there is a lot of the goods are covered under CUSMA. So I know that some of the manufacturing's outside Halifax, but it's all sort of connected in a supply chain.
Sure, yeah.
And so a lot of the tire manufacturing that happens outside will still be a factor in Halifax. And even though there are auto parts tariffs, a lot of it's covered under CUSMA. And so that's one thing that actually showed a bit more resilience in Halifax and Nova Scotia is the manufacturing sector. We see that continuing to rise this year. Some of the public sector, such as healthcare and social assistance, we know that Premier Houston is definitely dedicated to spending there. We see the new QE2 hospital renovations. We see more nurses trying to be hired. There's more employment in that area. So again, healthcare is another area. So some of the services as well, arts, entertainment, recreation, accommodation, food. I know, as we said, there are some concerns with restaurants getting either staffing or people coming out. It still is an area that people do like to spend, go out, go to restaurants. One of the big things is that for the tourism sector, as you can see, Mark Carney is going to China. What can happen in terms of trade? One thing that happened at the end of last year was that Canada was actually listed on the safe countries to travel for in China. And so that means we're expecting a little boost to tourism from China in Halifax and across Canada as well. So that's a good news. There was quite a few Chinese tourists before the pandemic, and we expect to slowly start picking up. And so some bright spots there, tourism sector, manufacturing, healthcare, things like that.
So just to take a step back and just sort of take a view from the national or even international, I think we can't have this conversation without talking about broader national and international issues and how they filter down and shape Halifax's local outlook. Are local forecasts tied to what's happening beyond Nova Scotia, and how much so?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Halifax is not an island on its own, so anything that happens nationally can affect, what's happening here. So, for example, immigration, right? So if the federal government makes rules about how many people are coming in, Halifax will see a direct consequences of that. USMA negotiations are happening later on this year, sometime in the spring. Depending on what's accepted, what has tariff-free trade, that can directly affect this province in terms of manufacturing, construction, all these things. So a lot of these factors, our relationship with south of the border, but expanding our trade to Europe, to China possibly, that can help a lot of businesses sort of tilt the exports away from, to America, to maybe Europe, to other regions that are growing in Asia. But again, that's easier said than done. And I'm sure if you speak to any business leader, they'll explain how, we've been doing trade with certain area in America for 20 years, and to just shift it to somewhere in Europe isn't going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
So, a lot of these factors are affecting, Halifax businesses, consumers, and even though it's beyond our control, all of this will have an effect on us.
And looking past 2026, what do you see as Halifax's biggest opportunity, our biggest economic opportunity, and the biggest risk over the next few years?
Yeah, I think in terms of risk in our forecast, what we did have, because we had to come up with some time, is that we did see that the trade tariffs lifting in 2027. That's a big risk to the forecast. If the tariffs remain in place throughout the forecast goes to 2030, then all of a sudden you'll see a bit lower growth. But we have it lifting after this year into 2027. And so that will help, give a little boost to a lot of sectors. Manufacturing, again, is the one area that we said. Travel, again, we could see people coming back here. I know that's been affected with our relationship. Professional, scientific, technical, this is a broad sector that has a lot of, whether it's engineers or architects. If all of a sudden we're getting a bit more economic growth, we're going to start seeing a bit more investments by businesses. They've been on the sidelines. If we have a bit more certainty, then all of a sudden you're going to be seeing a bit more, as I said, investments, and then you need a bit more services of engineering or architect or, any of these types of jobs. And so professional scientific is also another area that will see growth. A lot of the digitization of the economy continues. And so those are some good factors. Again, the risk, the forecast is, will the tariffs be lifted? Who knows? But we had to come up with the time. And as well, a big drag, though, on the outlook, and I mentioned this at the beginning, was the population growth. So as you saw, the next 2 years, the federal government is decreasing the amount of non-permanent and permanent residents. We do see it lifting a bit in 2028, but it's not to the levels that we saw right after the pandemic. And so with lower natural sort of birth rate, a lot of people leaving the labor force, not as much immigration, that drag will really pull down the outlook in the outer years. So again, could be a change to immigration numbers or anything like that. But for now, what we see is that will sort of drag it down in Nova Scotia, and Halifax will grow at a bit lower of a rate than what we saw nationally, the outlook.
All right, listen, we'll leave it there for now. Viktor Cicman with the Conference Board of Canada, thank you so much for joining us and helping us understand what to expect, or at least to what to keep an eye on for 2026. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
All right. Have a great afternoon. All right. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break right now. And when we come back, we're going to have a chat with Janet Barlow. And she is going to try her darndest, I'm sure, to convince me that hiking outside in the winter in Nova Scotia is a good thing. And so we'll have that conversation with Janet in just a moment. I'm Lisa Blackburn from Forward Strategies, and you're with the Todd Veinotte Show on 95.7 News Radio. Back in a moment. It is 12:51. Thank you so much for joining us over the noon hour. And winter doesn't have to mean staying indoors. Across Nova Scotia, more people are discovering that walking, hiking, and even snowshoeing can be year-round activities, well, except for the snowshoeing, I guess, that support both physical and mental health. Plenty of provincial organizations are out there encouraging residents to get outside during the winter months and highlighting the benefits of fresh air, movement, and social connection. One group leading that effort is Hike Nova Scotia. And Hike Nova Scotia is a nonprofit dedicated to promoting safe, inclusive walking and hiking experiences right across the province. And they also have a growing slate of winter walks and guided outings that are designed for all ages and abilities. To talk about why winter walking matters and how people can take part, do it safely, we are joined now by Janet Barlow. Janet is the Executive Director of Hike Nova Scotia. Welcome to the show, Janet.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Oh, listen, great to have you to have this conversation. And, let's start off with why winter walking matters. I mean, many people think of hiking and outdoor trails as something you do in the spring and the summer, but it is important to get out in the winter on those walks. And, why is it important to get out here in Nova Scotia to do that?
Well, I mean, a lot of people do look at winter and they think, I just want to stay inside. But really, we do need to get outside all year round. You just need to be prepared. So clothing and good footwear and being prepared, whether it's, above 5 and maybe a little drizzle, or maybe it's minus 10 and there's a bit of a wind chill, and just having the right gear. And also a big part of it, too, is having someone to go with and knowing what trails are good to go on. And so that's why our hike and walk series this winter is good for folks who are a little hesitant, because you have someone who's going to lead you on the hike. There's going to be a group of people, so it's safe, and they'll make sure you stay on track and have a good time.
Yeah, and actually, tell us a bit more about those winter guided hike and walk. This is a whole series, right?
Yeah, so all across the province from January to March, we have about 45 different events. So we've got 16 different host organizations, so local partners that are running the hikes. They could be a municipality, it could be a trail group, it could be another nonprofit, it could be a business. And they're just getting people out on certain days at certain times. And some of them are snowshoe hikes, some of them are just hikes or walks, depending on the weather. And even some of them are at nighttime, which a winter nighttime walk in the woods is such a lovely experience.
Very cool. Now, how can people find out more about whether there's any guided hikes and walks near them?
Well, in HRM, we have about 10 of them in January and February. So you can go to our website at hikenovascotia.ca. So that's hikenovascotia.ca, and just click on events, and then you'll get to the various schedules to find out, how difficult the trail is. We've got easy, moderate, and challenging hikes. We've got hikes at different times of day, different locations, different lengths. So, there's something for everybody there.
Yeah, and we talked about how winter walking can help promote people staying connected and to help them beat isolation during winter. Are you hearing from participants about that aspect of it?
Yeah, when you get out on a group hike, it's just a nice social atmosphere. You chat with people who you might not know, and you get to learn a little bit from the hike leader about the trail, the natural or the cultural history of the trail. So it is a nice social outing for someone, and of course, that reflects on our mental health, our mood, and also just getting out and moving in wintertime is super important. And so that physical activity is not only good for your body, but it's also good for your brain and for your mental health.
And now, preparing for winter hikes and outdoor trails. I think it would probably take a bit more preparation than you would regularly need if you were doing this in the middle of summer.
Yeah, definitely. You want layers. You want to put on a good number of layers. So long johns or your base layers, wool or synthetic socks. You want to stay away from cotton clothing in wintertime, because when that gets wet, it makes you feel rather cold. And then you also just want to look at, what might the footing be on that particular day. So if there's a lot of ice around, ice cleats or ice grips, various names for them, but these things that you strap on the bottom of your shoes or boots to give you traction on icy trails. And then there's snowshoes. So if the snow is deeper than, a little above the ankle, then yeah, you probably want to have snowshoes. But the good thing is that there are lots of places in the province where you can borrow snowshoes for free. And we have a directory on our website. So it's our Where to Borrow, Rent, or Buy snowshoe guide. And there are about 94 listings. And about 68 of those, you can get them for free.
Awesome.
So
Listen,
it's, yeah.
Before we let you go, is there one local trail or winter experience in Nova Scotia that you think everybody should try this season?
Oh, it's hard to say a particular one. There's just so many beautiful ones. And the good thing is that usually within a 10-minute drive of someone's house, there is a beautiful trail for someone to try. I also just want to put a shout out to our sponsors for the Guided Hike and Walk series. So Goose Lane Editions, Mountain Equipment Company, Baffin, our Pathways Society, and the Nova Scotia Department of Communities, Culture, Tourism, and Heritage.
Janet Barlow, Executive Director of Hike Nova Scotia, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. I hope everyone gets out there on the trails. Happy trails.
All right. Thank you so very much. Okay, well, listen, that is all the time that we have for the Todd Veinotte Show for today. My thanks to all of our guests for the thoughtful conversations, everybody who called in and shared their time and perspective with us during the open hour. And, of course, huge thank you to our producer, Vanessa Vandeness, for keeping everything running smoothly behind the scenes. I'm Lisa Blackburn. Thank you for spending part of your day with us on 95.7 News Radio. Hey, let's do it all again tomorrow morning, shall we?